Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're digging into one of history's most fascinating and, well, contradictory military figures, a guy named Smedley Butler.
You know, if I asked you to picture the quintessential American war hero, a real soldier's soldier, you'd probably imagine someone who looks a lot like Smedley Butler. I mean, this guy was tough, he was highly decorated, and he was just completely respected by everyone in the armed forces.
And yet, those are the words that very same war hero used to describe his own celebrated career after he retired. It's just a shocking thing to hear, right? A pretty brutal self-assessment from a man who had, truly seen it all.
So, how on earth did the ultimate warrior get to that conclusion? That's really the big question we're exploring here. And to understand his blistering critique of war, we first have to understand the man himself. We have to grasp just how massive his military reputation really was.
Okay, so let's get into it. What makes Smedley Butler's later transformation so shocking is really where he came from. His story, well, it definitely doesn't start where you'd expect.
So get this, he was born into a family of Quakers, a group that is fundamentally opposed to war, total pacifists. And yet, when he was just 16 years old, he felt the call to fight so strongly that he actually lied about his age to join the Marines. So he completely went against his upbringing, chose a life of combat, and as we're about to see, he was unbelievably good at it.
For the next 33 years, he was in uniform. Think about that. 3 full decades of service, and almost all of it was spent in combat zones all over the world.
Just look at his service record. It's basically a history book of American military interventions in the early 20th century. He was in the Philippines, he was in China, he did multiple tours all over Central America and the Caribbean, right on through the First World War. Basically, if there was action, he was there. And his list of accomplishments? It's just staggering. He was awarded the Medal of Honor, not once but twice. That's something only a tiny handful of people in all of American history have ever done. So by the time he hung up his uniform, he was, simply put, the most decorated Marine in the United States.
So here's the turning point. This incredible soldier, this absolute model of military virtue, he eventually came to see his entire career in a completely different and, frankly, much darker light.
Okay, so a huge chunk of Butler's career was spent fighting in a series of conflicts that people started calling the Banana Wars. And these weren't, your typical wars about defending the homeland. A lot of the time, they were about business. They were about protecting the profits of American companies overseas.
And this right here, this is the heart of his really brutal self-assessment. In his own mind, he came to believe he wasn't a hero freeing people. Nope, he saw himself as an enforcer for big corporations, with the U.S. Marines acting as the muscle.
He started seeing this massive gap between the official reasons they were sent in and what he saw as the real reasons, the economic ones. So back home, the public was being told, oh, this is about spreading democracy, or it's for our national interest. But Butler's saying, no, I was there, I saw. It was really about protecting plantations, railroad deals, and making sure Wall Street bankers got paid. And all of this leads to his incredibly powerful critique of war itself. See, his perspective wasn't coming from some outsider looking in. It was forged in the fire of the exact same conflicts he would later condemn.
This is precisely why it was so hard for people to just dismiss what Butler was saying. Think about it. When a career pacifist calls war a racket, it's easy for some people to just wave it away. But when the most decorated Marine of his generation says it, people listen. He wasn't some professor in an office somewhere. He was the guy on the ground, the ultimate insider. And his words just carried so much weight. Right, his knowledge wasn't theoretical. He wasn't just guessing who profits from war, he was giving a first-hand report from the front lines of what he called economic warfare. For over 30 years, he had seen it and he had done it. He was a primary source, a witness with just unmatched credibility.
It's like his authority to call out the problems with war came directly from being so good at war. He saw how it all worked up close. He understood where the money flowed. And then, and this is the amazing part, he found the conviction to denounce the very system that he himself had perfected. And that really is the core of why he was so powerful. His credibility, it didn't come from a fancy education or from political connections. It came from his scars. He had actually done the thing he was now denouncing. He had lived the life he was now exposing to the world.
So when the most decorated Marine of his time speaks, who listens? Smedley Butler's incredible journey from warrior to whistleblower, well, it forces us all to ask some really critical questions about the nature of war, and maybe more importantly, who we trust to tell us the truth about it.